as well as education taking place in the classroom. Last time we had talked about, last time when we left, we had talked about the stimulus movement game, where there are different variants of stimulus and movement with regards to harms and taking care of plants. Could be the different movements like touching the right cheek or the left cheek, putting the hand on the head or putting the hand on the chin, or opening the fist or closing the fist, so on and so forth. A combination of several movements can be used, is what we had discussed last time. Another activity that you can do in the classroom is divide the classroom into two groups, with preferably a balanced mix of students, where it shouldn't be as if in one group there are all very talented students and the other group not so talented students. Don't do like that. Instead, have a mixed group. Each group should be a mix of different ability groups. Now, one student shall be allowed only one chance, till all others have their chance as well. This will be a quiz based on spellings of the lesson, for an example. A quiz based on the spellings of the lesson. Now, one child will speak only once, right? Until and unless all others are spoken, that child will not get a chance again. Now, what happens? The smart child who has already spoken, now when he has to speak, what he does is he helps the other children, right? He promotes the other children to speak. He gives the answer to the other children so that the other children can speak out the answers, right? This is something that helps team bonding, cohesion. It helps collaboration, right? If the word is misspelled, it will pass on to the other team as a bonus question, right? So you can have these kind of quizzes, right? Another quiz could be quiz based on learnings from the lesson. Again, divide the class into two or more groups with, again, a balanced mix of students in terms of their skill. Now, this quiz can be conducted including any combination of different kinds of rounds. Right? In the lower grades, just one or two kinds of rounds will be ideal, so that too much confusion shouldn't be there. But as you move on in higher grades, higher standards, you can have several different kinds of rounds in your quiz. The general round you can have, which is commonly known, right? When an answer is incorrect, the answer passes on to the next team. And there are rollover questions which will be posed successively to both the teams. Rollover questions are extra questions not included in the 3 or 4 allotted to each questions, right? The 3 or 4 questions shall be posed to each team together. This the typical general round that you have. Then you can have cross question round, where each team poses questions to the other team. Whether the teacher is not posing the questions, each team is posing the question to the other team. It's all related to the topic that has been done, right? The topic on plants, the entire thing is based on the topic, right? Now, this is how you revise the content. This is how you recapitulate the content, revise the content, right? In the cross question round, each team poses questions to the other team. 3, 4, 5, whatever number of questions shall be asked by each team alternatively. Freedom of choosing questions shall be given to the students, right? That the students can choose to answer the questions. The question shall be related to the theme of the lesson only. It shouldn't go beyond the lesson. Questions already covered in earlier rounds should not be entertained. An invalid out of the context question shall incur a deduction of 1 point. No deduction if question is unanswered or incorrectly answered. But if the question is wrong, then 1 point will be deducted. So you can have these kind of questions. Then you can have a rapid fire round, right? Where you can give a 5-second lag between successive questions. 5 seconds is enough to answer, but it should be a rapid fire round. Then you can have a -5-point round when incorrect answers will get a deduction of points. No answer shall not incur any deduction, but an incorrect answer will incur deduction in a -point round. Right? These are different kinds of rounds. And you can have a double point round, right? Where the time limit may be more because it might be a difficult question. So if that question is answered, you get 2 points. Then you can have a what am I round. Questions like such an example, for example, I kill pests on plants. What will be the answer? It will be pesticides. So what am I round you can have. Instead of points, the count can be maintained as a calibrated energy bar on each team. You can divide the board into two, right? And each team can have an energy bar. The energy bar will go up or come down, go up or come down. Like you have energy bars in games that you play, right? Instead of points, you can have energy bars. So the team which has the highest energy level at the end of all the rounds wins, right? You can have these different kinds of sessions, right? You can have sessions, you can have these rounds wherein each team begins with, say, 3 lives drawn as 3 faces on each side of the board, and misbehavior can lead to loss of lives. When you play games, you have loss of lives, right? And when 3 lives are gone, you lose that round. You have to play that round again. You have that in games. So you can draw these 3 faces with three lives, 3 faces, right? And if there is any misbehavior from any group, you can erase 1 life or 1 face, right? Another variant of measuring progress could be open at the door or the lock on completion of 1 set of activity, right? And the door gets opened, you go to the next level, right? It's something that happens in the games, in the games that you download from Google Play. You can have these kind of things. Innovation in the process of conducting the quiz, right? So when you're conducting the quiz, don't just have one format. Have different formats, different styles, different methods, right? And this becomes an interactive way of revising the chapter, the lesson, right? Then you can have a word search game where you have a block, several letters in that block, and then you have got to form blocks of words, and those words should be all related to the chapter that has been taught. So it's a word search game. In the word search game, the teacher prepares a game of word search based on the words of the lesson. This game can be conducted for all the students individually or in groups. With the group that has the maximum number of correctly completed sheets wins. There will be a time limit for the game, and the sheets of the word search game shall be distributed to all the students. A sample word search based on the words of the lesson can be done to explain the students how it is supposed to be attempted. Then you can have letter scramble or anagrams. Again, you can divide the class into 2 groups with, again, a balanced mix of students. Write words related to the lesson and tell the teams to make as many words as possible from the given word. A word is given. Now make as many words as you can from that word, and that word should be a part of the lesson. The kind and the number of letters in the words should not exceed as in the original word, right? As it happens in anagrams. Then rewording of sentence activity. The teacher utters a sentence, and representatives of each team has to reword the same concept without changing the meaning in his or own words, in his or her own words, without using the central words. Like, for an example, farmers use insecticides to kill insects on the plants. Now, don't use the word insects or insecticides and reframe the sentence. Now, you're actually doing disciplinary learning. You're doing language building in science as well, vocabulary building in science as well, multidisciplinary learning. So there are different ways in which you can conduct activities which will enhance the understanding of the lesson, which will revise the lesson in an entertaining way. You can have an upward or downward stack or a linear progression or a regression activity where you divide the class in harms and caring groups. One representative from each group shall write on the whiteboard. Prompting from group members will be allowed with options like stars to more disciplined groups. You can give stars to control the chaos, because it shouldn't be an out of control chaos that should happen in the class. You may add extra layers to fill in the stack of misbehaving or very loud groups, right? So the students have to reach to the top of the stack on the right side and to the bottom of the stack on the left side. And both the stacks should have equal layers. One on one side will be harms, on the other side of the board will be caring. Right? One side harms and the other side caring. So caring, the stack is getting built up and the representative of each group is writing. And then on the other side will be harms, where the stack is getting deleted, so to say. It is built up on the other side, in the reverse order, right, from top to bottom. And this is from bottom to top. Right? You can have these kind of different tricks and techniques, and you don't need any technological aid here. Just the simple marker and the whiteboard, or the chalk and the blackboard, whatever you're using in your school, can be utilized to conduct these entertaining activities, right? This upward and downward stack can be done with the right brief phrase of way to destroy a tree, downward movement. Like, say, for an example, cutting the branches, it will be a downward movement, right? Ways to develop a tree would be an upward movement, right? This is something that you can do. This is an activity that you can do, which will again revise the content. You can conduct a true and false game. If the teacher says a true statement related to the lesson, stand up or keep standing. If the teacher says a false statement related to the lesson, sit down. So if a teacher says cutting the branches of the trees is a good thing for the tree, now this is a false statement, so maybe you can keep standing. If you say something that is positive for the tree, then sit down. Whatever, any combination you can use. And the ones that lose shall stand away from the benches or the chairs, right? The false statement could be the farmer uses manure to save the plant from insects. Now that's untrue. Manure is used as a natural fertilizer, right? So true and false game you can have. And the teacher has to ensure that there is a reasonable speed of delivery of the statements to ensure understanding, as well as to keep up the tempo of the game. Don't be too slow, don't be too fast, right? The teacher shouldn't repeat the same statement for clarification. This will impact the tempo of the game. No clarification should be given. The statement should be enough of an explanation itself. So now this is another kind of game, right? Then you can have a words, or in terms of little pictures or whatever. All right. So now the students are building the story. Students are building the story in the reverse order. The tree is dying in the village, maybe because the tree wasn't watered, tree wasn't given manure, the branches were cut off, whatever, right? The students are now responding. What is happening? Whatever learning was done in the lesson, that the students are trying to apply those learnings, right? You can do storytelling based on the lesson, or random fictitious storytelling with beginning based on the lesson. It should all be based on the lesson, right? And uh, ask the students to come out and speak out their stories, all based on the lesson, like harming the tree and caring for the tree, but construct a story out of it. And the most meaningful story, the most impactful story will get a prize, right? So these are the different activities. There is a whole list of activities that you can do. Obviously, you can't do all of these activities. You've got to pick and choose which activity you want to do for a particular lesson. I'm giving you a few examples, and there is no end. There is no limit to innovation. You can come up with your innovative idea. You can think of what you can do, right? One of the two hands or double test quiz. It is called as a double test quiz you can have, where again you divide the class in two teams. Then the teacher poses question to the student of each team. If the student answers correctly, his team gets 1 point. And then he has to choose one of the two hands of the teacher. One hand has a chit with the wrong answer, the other hand has a chit with the right answer. If the student selects the right hand, the hand with the right answer chit, his team gets a point. Now the students is not answering. This is just selection of hands, right? So if the hand with the right answer, the student gets points, right? Again, it's just an innovative idea, right? The student randomly selects the hands of the teacher, right? Again, the content is being read out, what is there in the chit, and the student themselves will respond whether it's the right answer or the wrong answer, right? It's a variation that can be done. And no student of any team shall be repeated until all other students of the team have their turns. This is a rule that applies to almost all activities that you can do, right? So I'm just going through. In fact, conducting these activities in a workshop makes it more entertaining, more interesting for the teachers. But in an online session, it's live. So I'm just speaking out the different activities. I hope you're able to understand me. I hope you're in sync with what I am saying. The participants who are listening, right? So I'm just narrating to you the different kinds of activities that can be done in the classroom to revise the content, to deepen the understanding of the students, right? So these are the different kinds of. Then you can have lesson words aerobics, the lesson word aerobics, right? This is another activity that you can do, where the teacher performs any particular actions like touch the skin or lift the left hand or folding the hands, and specifically connected with specific words. And then the teacher shall repeat the action twice for easier recall. Like, say, for an example, giving manure, fold the hands. Giving manure, fold the hands. Then killing the pest with pesticides, hold the left ear. Killing the pest with pesticides, hold the left ear. Now, all of these actions have been related with particular terms and particular themes from the chapter. Now, once all of this has been done, the teacher performs all of these actions related to the words or the terms. Then, now all the words and the corresponding actions shall be performed by the teacher when the game gets commenced. Now the teacher folds the hands. Now the students have to answer, what did the folding of hands represent? Was it giving manure? Was it giving pesticides? Was it cutting the branches of the trees? What theme of the chapter was folding the hands related to, holding the nose related to? Now this is recall. This is a recalling game, memory recall game, right? So again, the content of the chapter only is getting revised, but in an entertaining way, in an interesting way, right? Each team will mimic the other way. The other way around will be the teacher speaks out the theme of the chapter, which has been practiced before, and the students mimic the action, whether manure was related to holding the left ear, or manure were related to folding the hands, or manure was related to putting the hands on the head, whatever. Now the students are recalling from memory, right? There are two ways. One is the teacher speaks out the terms and the students mimic the action. The other way is the teacher does the action and the students speak out the terms, the themes. Interesting. The students are getting involved. The content is getting revised. That is the critical theme, right? The student who performs the wrong action moves out of the participating groups, right? And once the actual game begins, the teacher will not perform any action, but just utter the words in one form, and will perform the action, but not utter the words in another form, right? So this is another kind of game or activity that can be done in the classroom. Another one is a physical search for words. Make little cardboard blocks with words and phrases written or typed, whatever, or pictures drawn or pasted on them, and randomly spread them out on the ground. Right? If the class is big enough, obviously, there is a very small class, it becomes difficult. And ask the students to collect the cutouts pertaining to their groups. One group will be uses of the plants. The other group will be harms of the plants. The harms done to the plants. The other will be the ways of caring for the plants. I've spread out these chits in the classroom at different places. And now there is a buzz around the classroom. Everyone is picking up their chits, looking. Every group is picking up their chits and looking. Now, revision of the game is happening and activities taking place in the classroom. Right? The number of words of the pictures to be collected should be equal for all teams, obviously. And this number should be pre-assigned to all the groups. So the groups know that we have got to collect 8 chits belonging to our group, belonging to the theme of our group, or 5 chits or 6 chits, whatever. Right? Now, this is something, it's an activity. The whole class is abuzz, right? And the students are reading. Students are relating the content that they have learned with the activity, right? So you can have these different kinds of activities. More spice can be added if a maze can be drawn on the ground and the students have to only walk within defined lines, right? And the defined lines would be based on the content that they're representing, whether the harms or the uses or the caring of the plants, whatever. Another variant could be that the students of each group are assigned a distinct color and they have to only walk on these respective colored lines while searching for their respective words. Those respective words are placed at particular spots. Now, this can be done in the ground. This kind of activity becomes difficult to do in the classroom. It can be done on the ground. And if a student trips out of the marked line or pushes others or steps onto the words themselves, it will lead to disqualification. You have to only walk on the marked lines. Now, it's a game, but there is revision happening. Revision of the content is taking that activity. So there is no limit to imagination. There is no limit to innovation, right? You can keep on thinking and innovating, coming up with different ideas to conduct different activities in the classroom, right? And these activities entertain the students, enthuse the students, engage the students, and simultaneously, it's kinesthetic learning, it's visual learning. You're using all different forms of multidisciplinary learning within these activities, and revision is also taking place, right? So there is no limit to thinking, right? The more we can think, the more we can come up with innovative ideas to revise the content. We'll continue with this process next Saturday, inshallah. It's already 7:30. Jazakumullahu khair. Wa akhiru dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Jazakallah, Ghufraan Sahib. In a very excellent way, you have put many ideas. So most of the classes which you have dealt earlier, teachers were telling that they are morely for primary classes, but no, today you have given a lot of material for higher classes. How to conduct a balanced quiz, what to be included and what not to be included, very important thing. And so some of the words you have told to the teachers are very new to us also. Anagrams, they may be using it, but the name they may not be knowing it, many. So you introduce anagrams, letters of same meaning to be picked up by the students. And another technique you have told us, upward and downward word tracking. That also activity will bring more activity in our class. And true and false games.
Actually, brother,
Yeah,
I
yes,
wanted to add one thing here.
yes,
It is that it is natural that in lower standards you can do more activities.
yes,
As you move on in higher standards, these kind of activities will reduce. It is only
yes.
natural,
But
because
will
if
be
you
there.
say it will be
But
there, but the number of
mm,
activities, the scope of activities will reduce. It is natural.
mm.
If you're teaching physics to 12th standard kids, if you do these kind of
Yes. Higher means
too many activities,
sixth,
you won't be
seventh,
able to
eighth,
complete the portion.
sixth, seventh,
So it
eighth,
is
like that.
natural.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. Thank
Up
you.
till
Mhm.
up till 6, 7th, 8th, you can do. Because what
Yes.
happens is that in higher standards, the capacity of the students to concentrate is much higher for a
Yes.
longer period of time. So you don't need those many activities. But in lower
Yes.
standards, you need many more activities to keep them enthused and engaged. Yes,
Yes.
brother.
Thank you. Jazakallah. So a lot of more things has come out. Speed of delivery of the teacher giving instruction, that also you have emphasized, and storytelling, that also they put to good use, and selecting the hands of the teacher, right and wrong, that activity also will attract the students. And aerobics we have heard of on the ground, but a lesson word aerobic you have introduced, that also will be very useful for our teachers. And selecting the right card of information put on ground, that also very good technique. So we are very thankful, Ghufraan sir, that you have given a lot of food for thoughts to the teachers. And we are thankful to Fayaz Alam Sahib. Also, the teacher in him has made him to sit and listen to these programs. So we are saying he is there and listening to these programs also. So we are thankful to all, and all the teachers who have who are been hearing. Tomorrow we will be having, as usual, one by Asma Jalal program, and another one Tamil speaker is there. He is the Imam of Audi. He is Imam of Audi Mosque, and also HOD of Safa Matriculation School. So we will be eager to listen from him.